Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making a childhood classic with a twist, Beanie Weenie Casserole. Now this is the perfect weeknight dinner. It's super simple. I've got a pound of hot dogs that I've cut up, a large can of baked beans. You can use any flavor you want to, and I've got the mixings for about half a batch of cornmeal here. I've just got a cup of cornmeal mix, an egg, half a cup of milk, a couple tablespoons of oil, and a little bit of honey. Now I'm going to put a video in here linked to cornbread to kind of show you some tricks to making cornbread. You can use a mix for this if you want to. If you are not a fan of cornbread, you can top this with biscuits, and I'll put a link in here to some biscuit recipes. You can also top it with pizza crust, and I'll put a link in here to a really simple pizza crust, which will save you a ton of money if you've got kids. It's so easy. You can even make it when they have sleepovers and they want pizza parties, or for youth group pizza parties when you have a lot of kids. They can make it instead of buying it, much cheaper. But anyway, whether you want to use something canned to top it with or you want to make it, we'll make sure you got links in here. And this is so easy. All you do is cut up your pound of hot dogs, and you can cut this recipe in half and use a small can of beans instead of a big can of beans. If you've got a great big crowd to feed, use 2 cans of beans and make a whole batch of cornbread to go on the top of this. Instead of a half a batch, because there's certainly enough hot dogs in here that you could use 2 big cans of beans and use more cornmeal on the top of it, or cornbread on the top of it, or biscuits, or whatever you want to use. You can double it so it'll feed more people. I know when I was a kid, we certainly didn't have this many hot dogs in our Beanie Weenies. It was way more beans than it was hot dogs. Just stir that up a little bit. And then you're going to mix up your cornbread or your cornmeal mix, whatever you want to use to top it with, your biscuits or your pizza crust. Or like I said, if you're in a big hurry and you want to use cans, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I had 4 teenagers at one time, and I know when they start getting into stuff, you can't hardly get dinner on the table. You can literally have this mixed up and in the oven in less than 5 minutes. And we're going to put this in a preheated 425 degree oven, and we're going to bake it for 25 minutes. That kind of makes it easy to remember there. 425 for 25 minutes. I've just got a couple tablespoons of oil here, an egg, half cup of milk, cup of cornmeal mix. And if you like cornbread, I would buy me a 5-pound bag of cornmeal mix, which is cornmeal, flour, and leavening. It already has the salt and the baking powder in it, so you don't have to pre-measure all that stuff. It makes it much easier. Now that doesn't have the milk in it, and it doesn't have the egg in it, so you still have to add the milk and the egg and the oil and that stuff to it. But it's much, much cheaper than those little packets of mixes. And cornbread is very filling. It adds a lot to a meal. It's a cheap, quick bread that fill you up. And that's the kind of things that we need right now. Just mix that up, whatever you decide to top it with. Spread this out a little bit better because I'm going to top it with my cornmeal. And then dump your topping on there. Like I said, whatever you're using. And I'll put some links in here so you've got kind of some more instructions on the cornbread and a couple different recipes. And spread this out. And then we're going to put it in a 425 degree oven for 25 minutes. And you know, like I said, you can have it mixed up in 5 minutes in the oven on a weeknight. If you're getting ready to take the kids to youth group, or they've got some kind of practice or a ball game or something, you can get this done before you have to leave. While they're getting ready, it's baking. Now, in 25 minutes, your topping should be all nice and brown. Your casserole should be all bubbly. Everything's going to be hot and ready to serve. Now, when my kids were growing up, I would serve this with some kind of fruit. In the wintertime, some kind of canned fruit that they liked. In season, maybe some strawberries and cream for dessert, or strawberries and bananas. They used to love that, and that's super simple. Just cut up some strawberries. You can use frozen, get them cheap. Buy bananas when they're on sale. Slice up bananas and strawberries together, put a little sugar on top of them, just a little, and it makes a nice syrup in it. Kids love that. But some kind of fruit kind of balances this out, and it's much easier to get kids to eat fruit than it is to get them to eat vegetables, especially if they're in a hurry. And ain't no point these days and times in feeding them something they're going to leave on their plate. Now, however you choose to top this, whether you want to use biscuits, pizza crust, whatever flavor beans you want to use in it, Beanie Weenies are one of those things that are not just going to fill you up, and they're going to bring back memories. When you make them for your kids and you sit there and you enjoy them for dinner, I guarantee you, you're going to have memories of when you were a kid and you were sitting around with your family having dinner, maybe when times weren't perfect like they are right now. Because let's face it, Beanie Weenies was one of those things that you got when money was a little bit tight. Before we leave, I want to leave you with some hope. From Revelations chapter 7, verse 16 and 17. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more. Neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of water. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. Every time things get a little turbulent and stuff starts happening that scares people, we have people that go into Revelations and they use it to try and scare people even more. Folks, there's a lot of hope in Revelations. And chapter 7, verse 16 and 17 certainly hold a lot of that hope. I mean, God Himself is going to wipe away all of our tears. All of them. If you are in need of hope because of the times that we are in, I want to encourage you to get out your Bible, to look in His Word, because it is full of hope. And when all else fails, you can be rest assured that your Father is there for you. I want to thank you so much for joining us in the Hillbilly Kitchen. If you haven't already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. Share our videos with your friends. And until next time, remember to put God first.